I keep getting a blister every time we got a screw loose in the wardrobe or something like that. Joe Galli joining us from Tektronic Industries. Em, final wrap-up session for the week in China and Hong Kong in about, my watch is bad, off about 5 minutes?
5 to 6 minutes, Bernie, and we got a little bit of pressure or event risk on the market. A lot about the earnings, so we got a whole clutch of them coming through and already coming later on today. We've got our eyes, of course, on the banking sector with ABC leading things off or kicking things off for the mainland banks. ABC full-year net profit falling below forecast, 28.5%, $19.28 billion. The NPL ratio standing about at 1.5%, with the bank saying that loan risks are well contained. Loan growth this year will be, quote, neutral at best. Capital adequacy ratio above the minimum requirement of 11.95%, so the bank has no plans to raise capital this year. 8 shares are showing some negativity coming through, down close to 2%. We'll be watching how the A shares react as well. A lot of concerns about a slowing economy over in China. We had Wen Jiabao already saying that they're going to be sticking to those cooling measures on the property sector. What options lie ahead for the sector? Let's take a look. Brick by brick, China is determined to lay down tough policies to get home prices to reasonable levels. So far, the policies appear to be working, with the latest data showing home prices falling in February from a year ago in 27 out of the 70 cities surveyed. For developers, the real test starts in the coming spring, the typical period for new project launches.
The credit environment is loosening, but it's still relatively tight, which means that developers will have to continue dropping prices.
Faced with lower margins, tight financing, some developers have turned to capital markets for private funding. Others, though, may not be as lucky.
I think over the course of this year, we're going to see more and more companies actually exiting the industry, selling their projects to larger competitors. You'll see consolidation. The government is very much in favor of consolidation, and I think that's going to be an important trend this year.
But analysts say it's not all bad news and that China's hinterland will continue to provide support.
The second-tier market tend to focus more into genuine buyers who are buying for its own occupation, and that's the market that Chinese government wants to encourage, versus in the first-tier cities, cities like your Shanghai, like Beijing, like Shenzhen, which is typically being targeted more for its investors market.
Second and even third-tier cities are also growing rapidly as the central government enacts policies to encourage investment there to more evenly spread wealth.
You look at Chengdu, Intel relocated their assembly and test plant there, so you have high-tech manufacturing and the supply chain that goes with it. The software industry is doing very well there. Logistics is doing well because all the extractive industry for the West goes through it. That also brings in professional services, your lawyers, your accountants, your consultants, your banks, and they fill up the shiny new office buildings.
Despite Beijing's downward revision of this year's growth forecast, Jones Lang LaSalle anticipates China's emerging cities will continue to ride the growth wave, accounting for 12% of global growth in the next decade. And let's take a quick spot check of some of the mainland listed property plays. These are your A shares, of course. Number 1, Vanke, looking weak, down 0.25%. Shimao Property losing more than 3%, and then Gemdale shares down 0.5%. And of course, we do have the mainland and Hong Kong markets coming online at the bottom of the hour. We're going to be keeping an eye out on shares of Li and Feng after a pretty decent report card. Pre-market tipping the shares to rise by about 5%. We got 2 minutes to go until the Hong Kong and Chinese markets open up. Stay with us on the call. We got opening numbers right now, right after this.
China Market Preview, brought to you by UBS.
I've been working